the TIRZ number 2. If you would please call roll.
Inglesby,
Here.
Jones, Mitchell,
Here.
Coach,
Here.
Ellison,
Present.
Flores Kale,
Here.
Rizzo, Bradshaw, Tobias.
Here.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you all for being here. The next item is to approve the minutes for the board meeting that was held on February 11th, 2021. And if you've had an opportunity to review those minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. This is Rick Coach.
Okay.
A second, Tobias.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next is the citizen comment period. Do we have anyone who has signed up to speak?
There were no submissions.
Okay, seeing none, we will go on to item number 4, consider impossible action. Consider and approve rankings for submitted proposals for Central Park and Heroes Memorial projects. And who will lead that discussion?
I think I'll just do the introduction, and then we're going to turn it over to Bob since he's here and queued up and ready to go.
Okay.
But we sent out the solicitations for the contractors to do the construction work. We received a number of bids in. So Bob, if you want to take over and walk through the bids and the proposals, I think it would be appropriate to do so.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Farmer with AGCM, and we have Ryan Roseborough with AGCM here as well. Just a little background. We put out a solicitation, an RFP for both parks projects. We put it out under the delivery method of competitive seal proposal. In that process, you do an evaluation that includes their credentials, their experience, qualifications, reference checks, as well as price. So all of that is a blend that we evaluate as a team and then come up with a ranking. So tonight, we are asking for you all to approve the rankings. We have a couple of options to look at. From that moment on, we will go into negotiations with one or more of the contractors ranked for these two projects. I don't know if everyone has seen the evaluation compilation sheet, but I can try to share my screen so we can look at that.
Bob, I can share my screen so that way you
Okay.
can just keep talking and it may be easier.
Yeah, that'd be
Let's
great.
see here. Bid evaluations compiled. That's what you're looking for right here.
Yes, sir. That's perfect. So the criteria is shown on this sheet along the left side. Relevant company experience. The total value was 11 points. Their project management ability, which included their personnel that's being proposed for these projects, was 17 points. Past performance, 27 points. That's reference checks. And we have a system that allows us to score the references. We got seven or eight references spread between the two firms. The next criteria is their subcontractors and suppliers. They were required to provide a list, which we have evaluated. And then third is the price proposed for each project, which is a total of 30 points. The evaluation team consisted of members of the design team as well as members of AGCM's staff. The proposals were also reviewed by various city staff members. So I want to go through the results of the two projects, and then we can talk about the options. And please feel free to ask questions and interrupt me at any time. So the first, we had two proposers. We had many firms look at the project and download the plans. We thought we had 4 proposers, but in the last few days, we had 2 drop out. We had 2 proposers. Both are highly qualified firms. The references were almost a tie. So we feel good about the 2 that we have. So starting with the Heroes Memorial Park, we received bids of $9 million and a bid of $8,950,000. And you can see the evaluators' scores against the total of 100 points for each of those 2 firms, resulting in firm B being ranked highest at 288.9 and the other firm at 272.06. For the Uptown Central Park, we had a bigger spread on cost proposals of about $5 million and the other one of $7.2 million in the various rankings, which resulted in firm A being ranked much higher than firm B at 279.5 versus 196.40. So here's, and I apologize if I'm moving pretty fast, but we want to keep this pretty simple because we're only approving rankings tonight. So the options are to rank a firm for each project or rank one firm for both projects. So we have contractor B would be ranked highest for the Heroes Park. Contractor A would be ranked highest for Uptown Central Park. If we combined the 2 prices, we received a combination bid that was discounted by firm A at $13,891,210, and the total of the 2 prices for firm B would be $16,150,000. So I would entertain questions just based on those evaluations that we have.
Are there any questions for Bob?
I'll give you a couple of my perspective and our firm's perspective about the advantages of how to proceed with this. Obviously, one firm would be a little bit easier. We'd have one contract, but we still have separate projects and we still have separate architects and design firms. So there's still 2 projects that we would have to account for separately. We would only have one contract, one contractor for both. If we went with separate contract, the advantage, there's not really a lot of difference in price at starting point price. And we will be negotiating those prices and looking at cost reduction ideas. But the advantage of splitting it would be we would have 2 firms looking at price valuation and cost reduction ideas with their own subcontractors, and we'd be able to utilize those ideas across both projects. So there's a slight advantage to split them up for that regard. In either case, we have some work to do. We feel pretty confident that we can get to where we need to get to. Like I said, we had really 2 really good firms that we can go forward with.
Is there a preference from the board if we'd like to go with one firm, a total price of $13,891,210, or split them up? Is there any discussion regarding that aspect? Because I guess, Bob, I mean, we would be accepting the low bid and ask you to negotiate, but the low bid could be either one or both firms, depending on which way the board would like to go.
Yes, that's correct. This is just starting negotiations. The very bottom number, the 13,941, is the combination of the 2 highest ranked firms' price added together. So it's not a significant difference in the combination.
Right.
But the difference between, I'm sorry, this is Yvonne Flores-Kill for the record. The difference between Uptown Central Park and the prices looks to be about 2.2 million. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a big difference between those two. So if we split it apart, we would be recommending the lowest price firm for each of the two projects.
Okay, so the lowest one for the Heroes Memorial is going to be a different company than the lowest one for the Uptown Central Park.
That's correct.
Okay.
And this is not a price-based ranking. As you can see, price is only 30%, but this is best value scoring. And that's what government code allows us to do and allows us to enter into negotiations based on rankings.
Thank you.
And but this is Councilmember Rizzo. Both firms are very good firms, correct?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Very reputable firms.
Yes, the reference checks were outstanding for both firms. It was a virtual tie on references. We had 7 or 8 different reference responses. So yeah, everybody spoke very highly of both these firms.
This is Councilman Tobias. It's kind of to piggyback off of Councilman Rizzo. When you look at the relevant company experience at 11 points and the past performance at 27, how do they get to those points there?
So there's a big spreadsheet behind all of this. The relevant experience is based on the company's projects and relevant type projects. The project management ability is based on the superintendent and project manager that they're proposing. And then past performance is references, scored references. We send out a score sheet, ask for the references to fill in that score sheet, and then that translates to points. So the boxes below are the total points. That includes those reference checks for each evaluation.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, or is anybody prepared to offer a motion?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Once we lock in these prices, can they be changed if the cost goes up, or are these set?
These are not set at this point. We would enter into negotiations and we'd come back to the board with a recommended contract.
Thank you. That's it. No more questions.
Just, if you can just be patient, I'm just adding this all up.
It's an important decision. I think we need to give everyone an opportunity to take their time and ask the questions, gather information.
So if my math is right, we're, if we go with Candace McShane, no, I'm wrong on this. Sorry about that.
Well, I just want to be sure that the prices that they gave are individual. So if it was the TIRZ board's purview to select Cadence McShane because they scored higher on HMP, would the Stoddard bid still be good? They aren't making the combined bid contingent upon getting both contracts, are they? Are either firms doing that?
No, we asked them to propose independently with combination price if they were selected for both. No, these were issued with totally separate documents for each project.
And if in your opinion, if we sponsor both projects, do you believe that you would have a better chance of negotiating more efficiencies into the contract so that we might can get the cost down and timeline buttoned up tighter for construction? Is it better on those, in those ways for us to select just one contract, in your opinion?
We feel that there's some advantages to splitting it up because each of those firms has their own subcontractors that would be generating ideas that we could share across both projects. It's, it's really pretty even either way.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if we're potentially trying to get some cost savings, if we awarded both contracts, maybe the mobilization goes down, maybe various other components, maybe they're buying in bulk, those kinds of efficiencies, moving machines. But the downside I was thinking was that they might try to do one park at a time, and I would love to see both of these projects going off simultaneously, which means that the projects might get done faster if we selected Cadence for HMP and Stoddard for Central Park. But I'm only just using my thoughts on that right now, and really wanting to lean on somebody who has a more qualified opinion than me dealing with these kinds of contracts.
So you can see the totals at the bottom under the combination bid. The Stoddard combined price was $13,891, and the prices to choose two contractors is $13,941. Those are starting points, but they're 50,000 apart. It's like 0.3%. It's not much as a starting point.
This is Councilman Rizzo. So what I'm looking at is on the left side of the screen, standard would be the 9 million and the 4,991,210, correct?
Yes. However,
My math isn't adding up right because you've got listed 13,891.
yes, sir. They are offering a $100,000 discount if they are
Okay.
awarded both projects.
Okay, because I was getting 13,991 210,
Right.
and I was wondering how we ended up with that number. Because if I go to Candace McShay and I see Heroes Memorial at 8.9, and then add that up with a 4.9, I was getting a higher number than the 13. That's why I was wondering. I missed that part of the 100,000 discount.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that actually brings us lower than separating. But to get back to what the mayor was saying, I kind of worry as well. If we awarded both projects wouldn't start simultaneously. They would work on one and not the other.
The requirements of the proposal documents are specify that both projects have to be complete around the same time, but it's certainly a concern if you're using the same subcontractors for both, whether or not they can do both things simultaneously.
I'd probably, this is just my opinion, but I think I would feel comfortable with maybe using Candace McShane for the Heroes Memorial and using Stoddard for the Uptown.
Was that a motion, council member Rizzo?
I want to hear some more feedback before I made a motion. I wanted to make sure other council members had a chance to weigh in before I made one. And seeing that there's no one, does everybody ready, or do y'all need more time?
I just have a question. When you say approved rankings, I mean, what does that mean? Approved rankings, like?
It means that you're approving contractor rankings or those total points. So if you look at the Heroes Memorial Park, we've got a total combined number below that. So we have one firm ranked over the other because the highest number is the highest ranked firm. So we're asking you to approve either a combination of the two contractors or one contractor that we could move into negotiations with. So you're really just approving one or the other of those two things. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not approving. Okay, so let me ask this way. I apologize, I did not get a chance to look. Was there backup material that would show that one is an 89.52 versus a 98.8, say for like Heroes Memorial Park? So is that the kind of rankings you're asking, like if you approve it an 89, a 92, and a 90?
We're asking you to approve the way it's ranked right now, Cadence McShane is ranked highest on Heroes Memorial Park. Stoddard is ranked highest on Uptown Central Park. So we're asking you to approve that ranking, or if we are going with one contractor, Stoddard would be the highest ranked firm for the combination. And there is there's a big work of data behind all of this that each evaluator filled out. So there is a lot of data, and I've just brought forward the total points just to make it easier to see.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Also, and I don't know if this is a question for Mr. Earp, or I'm not sure if Mr. Sellers is on, but through the seal proposals that were accepted, are we also required to go with a low bidder? And
Well, no, because we did it through the grading score, which is what Mr. Farmer, I think, was trying to explain, that there are different ways that you can assess the potential bids. Low bid is one of the ways. It so happens that the number one in each one is also the lowest bid for that particular item. So it works out in this particular case, but it could have been a scenario where the number one was actually more expensive, even with because the price is only 30 points of the overall score. So it could have worked that way, but it didn't. It worked out to where the number one for Heroes Memorial is the lowest price, and the number one for Uptown Central is the lowest price. The thing that is maybe causing a little bit of pause is that we did ask for a combination bid if you got both, and in that case, the one bidder is the lowest bid overall price wise, but they're not the preferred bidder because of the scoring matrix. So it gives you the opportunity as a board to decide whether you want to go ahead and go with the scoring matrix, which is what we were doing it off of, or if you want to forego the scoring matrix and go with the single bidder for the lowest price. And I think what Bob is recommending is that even though it's slightly more money, he's recommending to split it up and to award one to Cadence McShane and to award the other to Stoddard.
right. Okay, I appreciate it, because to me, it could also either way. And as you, I guess, referenced just we are really sort of, I guess, going with the low bid, even if we split it up, because one is lower than the other, or if it's a combination, the total is the lowest bid for both projects. But
yeah, the good thing about this type of methodology is that you're not married to necessarily the lowest bidder. You don't always want to build with the lowest price bidder that comes in for various reasons. Which is why we take into account all these other things like references and subcontractors' capabilities and so on and so forth.
All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if there's no one other council members wanting to speak right now, I'd like to make a motion to approve the highest ranked bidder for the Heroes Memorial Park, which is Candace McShane, at 288.90 was their evaluation. And I'd like and continue that motion with awarding Stoddard Uptown Central Park to Stoddard at their valuation at 279.50 for the contracts.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there okay. There's a motion. Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, if it's okay, I want to circle back because it sounds like that is what Bob is saying, and I agree with the points that Councilmember Rizzo made about making sure that we can use different subs and getting these projects built. We based on the numbers that they provided, I mean, it's clear we have a budget gap. And so in my mind, the best way to negotiate towards trying to reduce that budget gap is to combine the projects, because if it's just Stoddard, they might be more inclined to negotiate down to the number that we need them to end at, and as opposed to if it's split. So my question really is to Bob: Do you believe that by splitting it, you will still be able to achieve the efficiencies in your discussions with them that are needed in order to keep this project moving forward?
Yes, sir, we do. We actually think there might be an advantage to split because little competition between the two firms and separate subcontractors looking at some ideas that we could share across both projects.
All right, that's what I needed to hear. So I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
This
Yes,
is
please.
Councilman Tobias. So basically splitting it, it would show, wouldn't say so much of competition, but it basically would be able to provide to where we could be able to get these projects going and not overlap each other. We can get it going. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could, Mayor,
I-
I'm just trying to see where you were going. Are you talking about actually giving both projects to Stoddard to try to bridge that gap?
Well, it's just buying in bulk mentality, volume discount. If the thought was that if we had hired just Stoddard and awarded both projects to them as the contract, and this isn't awarding them a contract, this is basically saying AGCM is going to go and negotiate with them and say, we're just going to deal with you, but we have a budget gap we need to fill, and see if they can make that work. But I'm also inclined to defer my opinion to what Bob is saying. So he's saying is that for different reasons, even though that might make sense on the surface, for different reasons, splitting up the contractors might actually serve us just as well or even better. So, and I know it'll help us with the timing. That's just common sense that we'll be able to build them simultaneously this way. So
Definitely.
I think we're good. I think we're making the right decision here.
Yeah, and one of the things I was gonna say is the reason I went this route was I was looking at the point system, and Candace McShane ranked just a little bit higher, so it tells me they might have a little more experience with this. But when we went to the Uptown, I noticed that Stoddard had ranked way higher on the Uptown portion of that, and I believe that ranking's what led me to them on the Uptown. And just going by the ranking systems, I'm thinking about quality of work, experience. So I think it might be the best route to go.
I'm sorry, I just want to add one thing. I apologize for butting in. This is Ryan with AGCM. I just also wanted to throw out there that you're not obligated. You're allowing us to move into negotiations. If those negotiations fail, you still have the option of ceasing negotiations and moving on to the next one. So you're not obligated at the end of the day to go with who's number one on each project. If negotiations fail, you can still move to the next one.
Oh, that's good to know. That's useful information. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Means we're not locked in.
Madam Chair, we have a motion and a second.
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. We will move forward with negotiations with the two firms.
Thank you all very much. We will be reporting to city staff starting tomorrow, and we'll get this rolling. Probably going to need a couple of weeks to wrap it up with each firm, and then we'll be bringing back contract recommendations.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is discussion on meeting date for April 2021. Jennifer, do you have any proposed dates?
Is there more business that the board needs to deal with before these contracts come back? You might want to wait and set your meeting date at that point in time.
I think that's probably a good idea unless anybody has an objection to that or wants to move forward with setting a date.
I think waiting for the contracts and then setting a date would probably be the best option.
Okay, if that's okay with everyone. Unless I hear anything, we'll set at a different time. Is there any need to go into executive session? Okay, I don't believe so.
So
And
sorry, it took me a little bit to find the date, but I think Mr. Sellers had suggested April 22nd.
Yeah, this
Okay,
is
well,
this is Travis. I was going to jump in as well and say I think the 2-week time frame for trying to get this turned back around, because we're trying to get this contract set up for groundbreaking for May 31st. And AGCM had said, and they're still on the line, so they can confirm that about 2 weeks is the amount of time they feel like they would need to bring the contract back. So it might be good to go ahead and try to get that set up for about 2 weeks from now. I think
Jennifer,
that's what Scott would say if he was on.
would that April 22nd give us the 2 weeks needed? I don't have a calendar in front of me. Sorry.
It's 2 weeks to
2
the
weeks
day.
to the day. Yeah.
Okay. That'd be
It may
great.
mean that the contracts wouldn't be in the backup material. That may be the downside.
okay. We can go ahead and set it for April 22nd, and if something changes, then we can get notified either way.
Be
Okay,
fine.
and I don't believe there's any reason to go into executive session. Is that correct?
I believe so, Madam Chair.
Okay, so if
Okay.
not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So moved. Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, well, thank y'all so very much.
All right.
Sometimes I forget to ask for a second and
Thank
take a
y'all.
vote, so thank y'all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Good
evening.
seeing everybody.
Mhm,
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
sure.